Alrighty. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Hopefully, everybody is having a good Monday afternoon. I apologize for the glare. I'm going to try my best to keep my head angled out of the way to where you don't get the glare from the glasses, but I'm feeling very overwhelmed in a good way from all of the support, but due to me being so overwhelmed and really unexpecting the blossoming of support of me just being honest with everybody, it stressed me out just a little bit. So I do have a slight headache. So I do have my glasses on. I hope it doesn't bother you guys. But we are here for open discussion. I do want to thank Michelle Anderson for joining. I also want to thank everybody who joined in my previous stream today and everyone who was so gracious and was sending me super chats and PayPals. I never anticipated to ever get that kind of support for any reason. And the fact that I was being so real and I was scared to be real, the fact that I was being so real and really talking from my heart, that to be the time I got all of the support is amazing. And it makes me feel that the community I'm building here is exactly what I hoped it would be, where we can just be honest and supportive and be a healthy community and kind of talk about things, even if they're hard. So I genuinely wanted to start this stream by saying thank you guys so much. I am not going to get emotional, hopefully. I want to be able to have this conversation because this is an important conversation to have. I know a lot of people may want to have the conversation steer otherwise. I'm going to stay on track with talking about moderators and things like that. So I did just want to thank everybody who has supported me on the channel, on Twitter, who has been gracious and been in the place to support monetarily. That means so much to me. Please, nobody ever feel obligated that you have to, but it really does mean a lot. I didn't know until the stream ended how much support I got financially in that stream. I'm blown away. I just wish there was a better way and I had paid more attention to be able to thank you all individually when it had happened. But again, thank you guys. It really does mean a lot to me. And I really can't even put into words other than saying thank you and trying to make sure that you guys understand how much I appreciate you all. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you for joining, Betty. Thank you for joining, Barbara Jean. And thank you, Dottie, for the super chat. I appreciate you. I think you are very genuine, very down to earth, and you kind of tell things like it is. And this is an issue that I think needs to be talked about in an open setting kind of way. If you're new to, thank you, Michelle, so much for the super chat. If you're new to how I operate open discussions, these are conversations that I have with people as a community where we talk about real world issues. And I don't ever expect anybody to be open or vulnerable, but if you are, we are very supportive. We appreciate anybody who's going to discuss anything about an open discussion. I always put the polls up typically on Friday. Sometimes I forget and it gets out on Saturday, but I put a poll up where the community, my subscribers, whoever watches me, can weigh in on the topic, and whatever wins the vote, the poll, is what we talk about that following Monday. Typically, I hold these around like 5:30 Mountain Time. I'm in a weird time zone, I know. But today, it is my husband's birthday. He did come home early, so I tried to push it up in hopes to spend the evening with him. But he did get to come home early today, so there's no rush. He supports me in this channel and what we do here. So just so people know, it's typically going to be held a little bit later than it is today. I had released a video last week where I had kind of talked about moderators on YouTube. And this is something that I've seen. If you're new to my channel, I've been a viewer of YouTube, I think like most people, for a long time. Like I think I joined YouTube in like 2012, sometime around there. And I mean, I'm a pretty avid watcher. I watch a lot more YouTube during the evenings than like cable TV or a streaming service. We don't even have cable TV anymore, but you know, I'm more apt to watch YouTube because they're, depending on what kind of content you watch, right? They are shorter, and I have a very short attention span. Thank you so much, Faith. Thank you so much. I have a short attention span, so watching shows that are 30 minutes is hard for me. Unless it's really engaging, it's hard for me to not want to do something else and kind of be distracted and not 100% pay attention. So watching YouTube has always been a caveat for me rather than watching TV because of my short attention span, and because when I watch videos, I'm typically watching things that I'm interested in, either learning about or being more educated about, and going down different avenues. I watch all kinds of YouTube. I started in the beauty sphere, then I kind of went to the beauty drama community sphere. Then, you know, with my degree, I've gone down a lot of different mental health realms. I've learned a lot about different serious mental health conditions from watching people who deal with that with YouTube, with their YouTube channel. So being a viewer is one perspective of how YouTube operates, how creators operate, what kind of happens. And then becoming a creator kind of showed a totally different aspect. And by no means am I saying I understand the ins and outs of YouTube. Absolutely not. I'm still learning about how YouTube operates, what's YouTube etiquette, because just like any job, there's always like unspoken etiquette. And I feel like moderators fall into this realm of unspoken, like etiquette, rules, weird stuff. I feel like this position kind of falls into that quite a bit. And I have seen over the years, it's not even just a recent thing. I know there's dramas happening within other channels and other moderators and stuff like that. And I'm not even trying to relate it to anything current. I mean, historically, there has been issues with moderators and boundaries. Like that video I made was a lot about the concerning boundary issue that I see happening with moderators. In that relation, I mean issues with the relationship that the moderators have with the creator and that the moderators have with the viewers, and then what the moderators do on their own time. I think a lot of it boils down to boundary issues, and there not being like a set guideline. Like I'm not saying a set list of rules. The glare is bothering me. I'm sure it's bothering you guys. If I get a headache, worse, I'll live with it. I mean, I see too much stuff. And like really where a lot of this has like originated was like a year ago, Eugenia Cooney's mods is really where I started to pay more attention to mods. People started making videos about the mods that she had in her Discord being in these positions, because being a moderator is some kind of position, right? If it's not defined well, and by defined, I mean defined from the creator to the moderator, like, hey, this is what I'm expecting of you. And then from the creator to their community to kind of know what is appropriate and inappropriate for their moderators to do, because some people get put in those positions that the creator may not do background checks for whatever reason. I don't mean like criminal background checks. I mean just like looking into their social media history. If they're not running those kinds of checks, you might put somebody in that kind of position that may abuse or overuse their power as a moderator. And different platforms offer moderators different levels of power. So that's really up to the creator. But if the creator is not really having this conversation, or like just kind of like blatantly saying it to everyone to kind of know, they're never going to know if things are being handled inappropriately, or if a moderator is overstepping by constantly silencing someone, or by reaching out to young people in their chat and being inappropriate, which is what was happening with Eugenia's mods. And I mean, that's a law. People, like, in general, we know that, like, if you're underage and somebody is of age reaching out to you inappropriately, it's an issue. But what happens is, and what was happening then with Eugenia that she got a lot of flack for, was she was not listening or believing her young audience that was coming to her specifically. They were also getting blocked a lot by the moderators from even being able to get in touch with Eugenia. Thank you so much for the super chat, Aline D. I appreciate that. So it's like that, and then other stuff that happens. Like, I'm going to speak from my own position as a creator and what I expect from my moderators, and then talk about as a moderator, because I am a moderator of 2 channels. Thank you so much, Dana, for joining. You are so sweet. So as a creator, I have very few mods. If I could operate without moderators, I would. The reality is, as your channel grows and your chats grow, it's almost necessary. What I expect from my moderators is just to make sure nobody is attacking each other. I don't care if people don't agree with me. I don't care if people even say nasty things to me. I just don't want people to be nasty to each other in the comment section. I'm fair game. I'm choosing to put myself on this platform. I'm fair game. I understand that. If it's overly disgusting, like a harmful act, then yeah, clearly that needs to be deleted, even if it's geared towards me. Frank, I will talk about who I moderate for in just a little bit. So that's their only obligation. I do not expect them to be here. I do not want them to do research for me. If they bring me stuff, great, but I have subscribers or people who just happen on my channel and see something and they're like, oh, I saw you made a video about this, and they'll email me other situations or other information they'd like to see me talk about. But I don't put that onto my moderators. I don't put anything onto my moderators. They do have a position on the channel where they're moderating the chat. They literally are watching the chat for those things, occasionally dropping links when people ask for links, or if I'm talking about a creator and like they want, people may ask to go to the video, they can drop that link. I see Sue right now has been putting in the link for membership in my PayPal, but she's never been asked to do that. I don't even think anybody knew I had those links in my description box, because I don't expect them to do anything. This is not a job, it's voluntary. They are choosing. I always ask everybody who ends up with a wrench on my channel before I give it to them, either they have approached me or I have approached them and asked if you would be willing to be a moderator. And it's that quick conversation of just don't let people be nasty to each other. If somebody asks for a link, please just drop the link. That's all I expect from my moderators. Now, I am a moderator for 2 creators. I am a moderator for Radiant Brit, and I am a moderator for Xylee Gets Real. Those are the only 2 channels I moderate for. I have offered to moderate for other channels in the past. Those are the only 2 I have ever actually moderated for, and am still currently a moderator for. Thank you for joining, Froggy Carter. Brit, I am her only mod. She has had other mods in the past, but because she has a larger platform, she hasn't gone live recently, but when she would go live, she would say, hey, I'm going to go live at this time if you're available. She had never expected me to be there. I was a fellow creator. That's how we got to know each other. She's never expected me to be there. I have always tried to be there whenever possible for both of these creators because they have entrusted me to moderate their chat. The rules that Radiant Brit have given me are use your judgment. That's it. Use your judgment, Amanda. I trust you. Okay. Xylee Gets Real. I'm a new mod on her channel, and she gives her moderators the rules that she gives to the entire chat at the beginning of every live stream. And again, she doesn't ever expect me to be in her chats. She never sends me a DM or an email or anything when she's going to go live. She posts pretty often to let people know when she is going to go live. And I try to be respectful as another creator, and I will let her know, like, hey, I'm not going to be there for whatever reason, or I'm going to try my best, just so she knows to expect me or not to expect me. But she doesn't even expect that kind of communication. That's just how I am as a person. So what I don't understand is how this position of moderators, the boundaries have been so blurred for some creators to where they are pretty much having their moderators run their channel. They're having their moderators do all of their research for them. They're having their moderators kick people from their channel, which I didn't even know moderators could do that. The last I knew, moderators could only mute people. And like, as everyone in a chat, you have the ability to hide others in the chat. Like if you see somebody, say you don't like me and you never want to see what I say in another chat, you don't want to know I'm there, you don't want to know what I'm saying, you as a user can go to the 3 dots on somebody's name when you hover over something that they say and click hide. If you do that, you will not see me in any chat. You will not see my username. You will not see what I say. Everybody has that ability. So I did, aside from moderators being able to mute people, I don't think moderators have the ability to actually hide people from the chat, the channel. I think they have the ability to hide from themselves in the chat. And I may be wrong, and if I am wrong, someone please correct me. But I don't think anybody but the creator has the ability to legitimately hide people from the actual channel. So I think there is this issue, right? There's that boundary issue where creators are expecting these people who don't get paid, rarely ever get paid, right? I know in some instances, some creators do pay out to their moderators. That's weird to me. To me, that's strange, but it happens. If they're doing enough work, then yeah, you should, in my opinion, you probably should be paying them. But if they're choosing to start the position and like nothing ever changes, I mean, you can't expect to pay them, right? Like, it's just weird. I don't know why people would cross that boundary into making a moderator that holds so much power on your channel. You're the creator. You're the one who should be behind the content. You're the one who should be doing the majority of the research, in my opinion. Having people help you and like help resource it out, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But having a moderator or a few moderators running all of your social medias is a boundary, I think. And I think that's happening a lot. Another boundary that I see is people calling, and this is no shade, this happens in a couple of places. And I know right now with moderators coming out and talking about their experiences with like channels, I'm not trying to throw shade or direct this towards anybody, but the topic of head mod, that's a boundary that I think the creator is allowing to happen personally. I don't know, but I don't think for any channel should there be a head moderator. That's weird. In my opinion, that's weird. That's making a hierarchy on your channel. And I personally, I don't know if that should exist, because it's instilling in people that they have power over your channel and your content and that they have a say so. And if you're running your channel in that way, I think that might be a little bit of a problem, because then you are going to be held accountable for that person and what that person does and says everywhere. And if you want to take on that responsibility as a creator, then, you know, at least you know what you're signing up for. But when you put people in these positions of moderators, I think it's a boundary that is just getting crossed when creators are putting too much into their moderators, and then their moderators are going around and giving their opinion on certain things or speaking their mind, and it may agree and it may disagree with the content creator. But if you are having your mods in these positions of like being in some kind of power or having a say-so on your channel, it is going to reflect against the creator. I mean, we have seen this happen a couple of times throughout the years where creators are being held accountable to what their moderators say, because their moderators are known to be like head mods or seeming to be head mods. Like, it's just, they're weird boundaries with moderators. I think what needs to happen personally to like kind of remedy this is I think everybody needs to put in place a strong boundary. And I think platforms need to kind of put in a guideline. Like, if your moderators are doing X amount of work, then they're not a moderator, they're a paid employee. I know that's far-fetched. I know that's not going to be an opinion that many probably agree with, but personally, I kind of think that that's what needs to happen. That not only is going to protect the creator, it's also going to protect the moderator when issues arise where you have a difference of opinion. A lot of what's happening, I think, since COVID is people are very much affected with their emotions and how people say things and things like that. You know, I'm going to kind of pay attention to the chat just to see what you guys are saying, see what questions you may have, your experiences, whether you're a moderator or not. I have talked with someone who is known to be a mod on several different channels who is willing to come on, and I'm open to having them on. We've already had this discussion, but I want to get the majority of the questions kind of out of the way, like the general questions, so there's not any bombardment. Thank you for the compliments, everybody. I really do appreciate all of the compliments. You got booted from one channel undeserved. I mean, I don't know. For me, no, don't pay a mod. You don't think mods should be paid? I mean, if they're doing a ton of research, if you're putting them in that kind of position in like a hierarchy, and they're doing the research for your videos and they're like doing the setup for your videos, and you're just the one kind of delivering it with your spin on it and like some of your opinion, depending on how much time they're putting into it, I personally think that boundary needs to be put there. I can see where it will, if that were to happen, it's going to cause issues. I can see that. You think having a top mod is a disaster? I mean, anytime that I've seen somebody refer to having a top mod or a head mod, it kind of comes back at the creator and the moderator in like their own ways, you know? You can see if they're helping, that it definitely needs to find. Yeah, and I know not every creator has like these boundary issues. And it's not, I would say the majority of people don't, like the majority of creators don't, but it's seemingly to become more of an issue than what it's been in previous years. But this is something that has always existed. Shouldn't the creator be the top mod? I mean, right, BDD? I agree with that kind of sentiment. I think what I've noticed is, especially with larger channels, they don't always pay attention to their chat at all. And they kind of utilize their moderators when to know to pay attention. You think terms of service need to be changed, period? There's a lot of terms of service with social media, that be like YouTube, Discord, Twitch, all streaming services, I think need a revamp in their terms of services in many different levels. This is just one of them. Feeling Kind of Breezy says she knows of a channel where a mod was writing out a script for the creator, doing most of the research, and it didn't end well. Yes, our creators, Frank asks, is a creator able to see comments, even the ones that the mods delete? Very good point. If during the chat, if a moderator mutes someone, deletes a comment, anything like that, it shows up gray on the creator's feed. So we see everything happen in real time. So if a creator is sitting there, unless their chat is going extremely fast, which some chats do, and they may miss it, but if your chat's not moving very quickly and a moderator does something, you'll see it. You can also scroll back and see it. So if somebody's saying that they don't see it and their chat's not moving very quickly, they're deflecting. They just don't want to address it. On some channels, the mods are expected to be production assistants. That's just that's a boundary that I don't think should be crossed. And then creators get upset when these moderators talk about their experience or say, yeah, I was expected to do this, or it was put upon me to do this. You are asking, as a creator, you are asking for problems if you are having people who are unpaid do a lot of the work for your channel. Yes, anyone with a wrench is a moderator. The creators have the capability to put anyone in a moderating position. Wouldn't that be a co-creator? I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it would. Thank you for joining, Christy Miller. I appreciate that. Thank you, Beck, for the nice words. Yeah, I think I have like 6 mods, maybe 7. I don't have that many. And I've moderated people before and unmoderated people before. Just because you unmoderate someone doesn't necessarily mean that there's been an issue. But again, because these boundaries get crossed with so many different channels and creators, it is like a big deal when modding and unmodding becomes like a secret. I, in the past, have moderated a few different people, and I've always had the contention that you may only be a moderator for a short period of time, because I don't like to have moderators, because I don't like putting that on them or me. I don't want them to feel responsible to my channel, and I don't want what they may say or do be reflected upon me, because we're all individual people. And due to the immaturity of adults online lately, it seems that anything anyone says is held against everyone else. Like, it seems lately nobody can be an adult and have an agree to disagree kind of situation. It's like middle school where you have to, like, boys have cooties, so to speak. Like, that's the easiest way I can think of it. Like, it's like this big no-no that you have to publicly talk about it and stand where you stand. And like, if you don't agree with the majority or who that person likes more, you're going to get ostracized by everybody else. That is very high school behavior, and why I have stayed out of a lot of conversations, because I don't want to get involved. It's childish. When people start thinking you're speaking in a secret code, it's beyond crazy. I mean, that kind of speaks to, if people think that other people are talking in code, I know there's some drama going on with that right now, but it's, again, this isn't the first time. Like, what's happening right now with some channels that you guys may be familiar with and that I'm familiar with, I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand. It's very much an us or them mentality on every which way. What, Jolly? That is absolutely ridiculous. See, and this is a boundary issue. Jolly says that they're in a thing at the moment now simply because they modded a channel where the creators fell out and they ended up being doxxed over it. That's a boundary issue. That's a problem. That's a problem, and it's childish. It's a childish reason for somebody's information to be leaked, their private information to be leaked out publicly over a disagreement and over who they moderate for. That's absolutely ridiculous. Do mods have mods been attacked for being mods? That's kind of, I know what you mean. Have moderators been attacked for being a moderator? Yeah, I know it's happened. I've called out a moderator for coming to my channel, acting on their own accord, being rude before, and was told that it shouldn't reflect on the creator. But in my opinion at the time, and even to current day, it does reflect on the creator, especially because of how that creator was managing their channel. It was very much a hierarchy. And like, this was your top mod, and your top mod is going to another creator and not listening to what I was saying and kind of being rude and refusing to hear the creator out. Them publicly being known as a top mod is going to reflect on your channel, especially when you talk about them being your top mod. Like that, because he had allowed that boundary to cross, it does reflect him, in my opinion. No, a creator is not given personal information on their moderators. Unless a creator is making their moderators give them personal information, no, it does not. I don't know any of my moderators' personal information at all. None of them, not even Britt. And her and I talk almost daily. And she doesn't know my full real name. I don't know her full real name. You know, there's a lot of information, like personal security type information, that we don't know about each other. But I hold Britt pretty close to me, and from what she has said to me and even said publicly, she holds me in a high regard as well. There are boundaries that people need to put in place, and I mean this to everybody, and I mean it in the most sincere way. Protect yourself, okay? Always protect yourself. Do not give your information to anyone for any reason unless you are comfortable enough to do so. Just don't, because you don't know what people's motives are, what people's intentions are. You have to kind of be a pessimist when you're involved in online activity. And if you're a moderator and they are asking for that kind of information for you to mod their channel, politely decline and walk away. Because there's already a power imbalance between creators and moderators, creators and viewers. There's already a pre-existing power imbalance. You don't like mods with mob mentality. Respect the creator, but I promise you don't know half of what's going on, only what the creator wants them to know. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I don't know how much this kind of revolves into moderators, but there's creators that are cherished by the community who behind the scenes are literal POSs. And I don't mean that to be mean. It's true. Like, they manipulate their audience to thinking that they're one way, or that they're, you know, who they perceive themselves to be. But behind the scenes, they're not. They have characteristics that are the polar opposite. And what's ironic is half the time it's kind of the behavior that they're calling out from others is behavior that they have behind the scenes and who they may actually be. Is there anything outwardly wrong with that? I mean, to me, there is. That's a moral issue to me. But it is what it is. It happens all the time. Like, people come to YouTube to use YouTube as a business, to use YouTube as a way of income. If that's their prerogative, that's their prerogative. You know, like, people aren't always who they seem to be. And that's why you do need to protect yourself, because who knows what kind of things that creator may be putting moderators in weird positions and requesting, or maybe even telling them to engage in activity that they wouldn't engage in otherwise, but they feel they have to because they're now a moderator of this channel. That's a power imbalance. And then there's also a power imbalance between moderators and creators, and moderators and subscribers, I mean, because as subscribers, most people know if someone has a blue wrench at the end of their name, they're a moderator. They have the power to mute you. They have the power, you know, to delete your comments. So if you know on a different channel or in a different arena that you have your own personal falling out with this one moderator, you may be less likely to join in the conversation on that channel that they're a moderator for, because there's that power imbalance. And that becomes a boundary issue when the creator is likely aware of this issue and doesn't address it or doesn't monitor it closely. A lot comes back on channels from moderators. And that's why I think, to a degree, when you're putting somebody in that position, if you don't know who they are and it's like a last minute decision, it would behoove any creator to go back and like do their research just to see, like, I'm not saying they have to totally align with you. That's starting to form an echo chamber, but make sure that they're not engaging in activity that you are not definitely against. You know, so I pretty much do a lot of advocacy work on my channel. So if some random Joe Schmo came in, but my chat was just going crazy, and I said, who wants to mod? And this random person says, I will, and I put them in a moderating position, I don't think it's not, it would be in my best interest to make sure I go and see if this person has engaged in like negative content that would speak out against what I was standing for. And some may say that that could create an echo chamber, and it could, but you also want your moderator's morals and like line of thought to somewhat align with yours. That doesn't mean you're always going to agree. There are things with several of my moderators currently that we don't agree on. They don't agree with my stance. They don't agree with how I've said things before, but we're adults and we can have a conversation in private, know where each other stands, and moves on. All right, are there any other like moderating questions that anyone has that I can answer? I appreciate everybody who's being here and like engaging in the conversation. I'm going to give it a few minutes for some questions to maybe come in. If questions or like opinionated questions on my perspective don't come in, I am going to have Claire come on. Claire and I have been talking for a couple of days. I mean, her and I have chatted previously, but whenever I put my video live, she commented on there and she had her own perspectives. And I know she's made a couple of videos. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch any of her videos. That's just me being honest with you guys. I've told Claire as well, I hadn't been able to watch her videos, but she is someone who moderates for a lot of different channels. And I think hearing her perspective on this topic and kind of things that she's experienced, to allow her to also have a voice in this is important. It's up to her on what she wants to talk about. And I'm not going to force her to talk about anything she doesn't want to talk about. I'm not foolish. I don't think anybody here who knows anything about Claire is foolish that there's been some roaring going on. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm not going to make her talk about that if she's not comfortable. And I hope you guys respect her and allowing her just to speak from her experience. If she doesn't want to talk about drama and situations that she's being put in, let's respect that. Also, I'm really hoping, since I'm doing this live, I don't run into any technological issues, but you know, it is me. I do run into quite a lot of those. So I am going to pop over here.
Hi, how's my sound?
You are good. So I'm going to, all right, please let us know if you guys can hear Claire.
Hopefully it's nice and clear. I'm using my iPhone just to not get any distraction with your YouTube. Hopefully that helps with the echo. So
Yeah, I don't hear an echo right now, and I
good.
can hear you just fine. So we'll see.
Well, Amanda, first I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to give me a voice. It's not easy being a moderator for multiple channels. I think anyone who's doing more than one may agree. You have to stay neutral all the time. And unfortunately, that can make you a target because other mods or other supporters of channels may think you should take a stand, which anybody who knows me out there, I don't do. I have friends in all channels. I have channels that argue with each other. I won't do it. I try to stay neutral. Apparently, that's becoming an issue currently. Um, Anybody that sees Twitter or in the YouTube chats lately will see that there's some drama going on, and I don't want to hide it. I'm not going to run from it. I'll answer questions about it, but there's really not a lot I can say because I don't believe I did anything. I don't think I have anything to apologize for. I don't even understand what the issues were except for the ones I addressed on Twitter, which were some accusations made by other moderators. But I could just say, you know, you do your best as a moderator. You want to be supportive, but perhaps when you feel you're not, you should just move on quicker.
So I don't want you to feel like, I understand you wanting to address it. I'm not going to prevent you from addressing it. For sake of what's going on currently, like how being a moderator to so many channels, what has been your experience as a moderator? Like, is there like a blanketed, do every creator kind of give you like a, hey, this is kind of what I'm expecting of you? Or is it just kind of like you to assume, and then when issues like what you're going through arise, is it because it's a misunderstanding, or is it because there aren't any like regulations kind of being put in place?
I know I can see what you're saying. Absolutely. Some of the channels that I mod for are very clear about what they expect and give you a little guideline or have a conversation with you. Almost all of them have given me some types of guidance or have talked to me privately in DM back and forth, given me trust, given me some guidance and some ability to know what to do. And I've acted under that umbrella and what they have told me. It's when that changes that it gets a little dicey. You don't know why. They don't talk to you about it, and then just all of a sudden things are different. That I can't, you know, I don't know. I can't even speak to that because I don't even know how that happens or why that happens. But the only time that I have had a problem with a creator has been because of that, because communication has stopped for some reason, for whatever. There is no dialogue between myself or them or any guidance whatsoever. So I like, as a creator myself, I have experienced mods and I kind of trust their judgment and let them do what they need. I don't like mods engaging with other mods anywhere else in a negative way. I just expect everybody to be respectful. As a creator, I say that, and as a moderator, that's what I want to do. Is that
And
help?
yeah. No, you answer my question. This is a general question that I have, and you moderate for so many people, and you have for so long that, I mean, some of these questions I have just out of curiosity because of other things going on that I see with other channels and moderators, like disbanding and things like that. Have you ever been asked or put in a position to do research or to like kind of take over certain aspects of a channel?
I have not been asked to do research. I have been asked advice on what to do in a difficult situation that may have occurred in chat or with another creator. And I always just give my opinion. I don't try to do anything more than that. I would do that whether it be a creator or not, anybody who came to me. So in those instances, if anybody could come to me and ask my opinion, I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. I don't try to push them either way. I'll just give my honest opinion. I have had some training responsibilities perhaps dumped on me that should have been the creator. I don't mind showing people how I do it. I actually am flattered when newer, younger mods will say, it's flattering for somebody to come to you and say, you're an experienced mod. Tell me how you do it. What do you do? What do you do personally? And I always say, this is what I do personally, but it's up to the creator to set the parameters. And that's where the difficulty is, because I'll show them like what I'm doing on a specific channel. Luckily, the moderators that are coming to me are on that specific channel, so it kind of falls in line, you know. But it's hard to make a general statement on what you should do because it's really channel driven. The way you ask your moderators to what you expect from your moderators or what Radiant Brit or myself or say Charlotte or Aaron or Illuminati or It's Just Chat or Dottie Morgan, all of these small creators that I see right now, we all have a slightly different guidelines, and the main thing is to communicate that to the moderators in some way, whether it be by one moderator to tell all the others, or I don't really abide by a top mod or a head mod type of situation on a channel. Um, I do abide by it maybe in a Discord where you need to put somebody in charge of conversations and things that are going on, but not on a channel. That's a team. That's part of the creator's team, and we all work together. I've been called top mod. I never called myself that. I never abided by that with a creator or supported that label for myself. I want to be a team player always. I want to be part of the support system. That's how I approach it.
So would you say, like, when you have had issues, whether that be a current issue or previous issues when you've been modding, that the issues end up arising because there is not a set of guidelines?
True. It did almost all the failures that I have been a part of, or any of the drama, so to speak, or what I would just call failure between moderator and creator, have been communication based. Either a lack of guidelines, a lack of enforcing those guidelines, or enforcing them with inequality, um, one moderator to another. But they all are based on communication. That would be the one word that I would use, that is failing. And that was what my streams have been about. That is what my posts have been about. Um, that, if I have to nail it to one thing, is the issue.
How would you, since you have moderated for so many channels, how would you maybe give advice to channels who are starting to have mods or thinking about having mods? How would you maybe discuss with them how they should have that conversation? What should it look like?
It's a personal one-on-one, number one, and it should happen when you ask them to mod. You need to be clear, not just that you want them to be a mod, but what those responsibilities will be. Then a clear, concise decision can be made by both parties. You'll get a clear idea whether you are communicating appropriately what your desires and what your needs are, and whether they accept them and are agreeable to them, and you get a good basis of what the relationship will be like. That's when it starts, first conversation. That's why I went to most of my mods. I go to them individually. I have experienced mods. I knew them all personally. My conversations may have been shorter than what's necessary for someone who doesn't know the person that they're asking to moderate as well. If the creator doesn't know them as well, the conversation would have to be longer. But yeah, it starts that first conversation. That's when you set it. We don't need
We
a
do
formal
have,
post. Yeah.
yeah, I understand that. So we do have a question. Someone asks, what is the draw to be a moderator? So I'll let you answer, and then I'll answer from my perspective.
I have no idea what the draw was. Someone asked and I did it and I liked it. I liked interacting with the chat. I liked being part of a team and it grew from there. I had no desire to be a moderator. I had no idea what a moderator was. It happened to me. I let it and I liked it. And I went forward and it just had, there were other channels that would ask me, and if I agreed with the creator's perspective or I was already supporting the creator as a subscriber and visiting their chats regularly, then why not help out? If they needed me, why not? You know, that's how I approached it. It comes with its downfalls. Uh, Especially with so many channels that I mod, I became more visible when I started to mod some of the anti-KJ type streams. I became a target for those trolls. My name became prominent. My name became something that people went for. I got blocked. I got attacked. I don't know, you know, for doing nothing, just for being out there. And I think that's part of what's going on now. You become more visible, and you become a target whether you do anything or not. So that's the
And
downfall.
yeah, and I can understand that happening, and it's an unfortunate thing that I don't think is communicated. Honestly, my experience with being a moderator is I support Britt. We went through some drama online together, and we were there for each other, and we just modded each other on each channel. With Xylee, I think she got put in a rock and a hard place on one of her live streams where it was just, she had more people in the live than I think she was anticipating. And I've been there for her and I've supported her publicly and privately. So I think she felt comfortable putting me in that position. And you know, I had a conversation with her afterwards just to make sure like that was intended. I think what drives some people to be a moderator, and this is just my opinion based off of what I see and kind of my interactions with the mods that I have, is they genuinely support the creator and they want to be able to help when they can. And they feel that they have similar morals and ideas that the creator holds. So they want to help moderate, knowing when a channel is growing or knowing when they may be going into a controversial topic, which is typically when I have asked people, if you would like to mod, please reach out to me. Because I've talked about a couple of things, knowing that it may bring some extra eyes or bring some extra drama, and having the additional people in the chat to just monitor and make sure people aren't arguing with each other is always been my goal. And that's kind of how I've experienced from the moderators that I have.
Right. I'd say that I was in that position with one channel that I still moderate with, and I will continue to support them. It was the same situation. It was like, I need a mod because this is a really hot stream. My first live stream, it's going to be like really hot topic, and I'm going to need help just managing the chat, which I'd like to stress is like the main, when you're moderating with most channels that I'm in, the main thing is to keep the chat being respectful and just to eliminate some problems that may be aggressive or attacking other chat members or the creator themselves unnecessarily. You can get spammed by people just showing up at live chats with nothing to do. You can have personal beefs brought in that don't really belong there. It's really just trying to keep that smooth for the creators so they can create, so they can be doing content on the channel instead of trying to micromanage. I agree with what you said about hiding members on a channel. That should be a creator decision. I support that. Most of my channels that I mod are the same way. We can put them in timeout and educate them as to what they've done wrong. But as far as hiding from a channel, booting them from there, that's the creator. The creator has to kind of let us know that they want that done or set a clear guideline as to how it's to be done.
Well, and I'd like to Yeah, I agree with you. And I would like to add, just so people understand and know, as creators, when people are hidden from the channel, there's a part of our YouTube studio as a creator that we can go and see everybody who's hidden, and we can like take that away. Like we can unhide people
Right.
so that they can come back to the channel and that they can engage publicly. So don't, if it ever does happen and you feel it was done on accident, I do advise reaching out to the creator. This was a comment that I got on the video, is like, say you have an issue in a chat, you're blocked, you're hidden, you don't know what happened, but you didn't say anything, you think it might have been done on accident, but you have an issue with one of the moderators and you think it was done out of malice intent. I advise them in the comment section, and I'm going to advise everybody, if you find yourself in that situation, just reach out to the creator, because at the end of the day, it's up to the creator. It's not up to the moderator. And you never know what kind of conversations creators may be having with their moderators. I don't really have conversations with my mods, and I understand Discord, it's seeming like it's totally different. I have zero knowledge about Discord. I don't want to know about Discord. It seems like Discord, no offense, is just asking for issues for people, but it seems like there's these like some creators who have like text messages or email groups with their moderating team, so to speak. I find that that's a weird boundary. That's just a weird boundary. That is setting up your moderators to think that there is an actual relationship between you and your moderator. And if that's the case, like, I'm not here to judge, but know that that again is going to come back on you at some point. If they engage in negative activity, it's going to come back on you.
I agree with that. And it goes even farther when they're only on their only daily or weekly or whatever interaction is only with a couple of the moderators and not the rest. That sends a message that is not healthy to the other moderators in general. And it just makes it like it's not a team. You know, it's like separate teams. It's not a comfortable position to be in. I've been in that position on a channel before, and it doesn't end well. It just sets up for a lot of misunderstanding and lack of communication, which is unnecessary, actually. It's completely unnecessary.
I mean, that what you're kind of talking about sounds like, to me, I'm not sure what situation exactly you're referring to, but it does sound like immaturity. Like, I don't mean to be
No, it does. I agree.
But it's like clicky. Like, I'm going to talk to a few people that are in the moderator community, like moderator group, may get access to exclusive information that like if the creator plans on going live and like talking about something or exposing some information, and they don't release it to all of the moderators at one time.
Right.
They only let some know, and then the others are blindsided. It just, I don't understand. Like, that seems very childish. I don't know how often that is happening. That's kind of seems to be what you're kind of hinting at. I don't know how often that's happening. I really don't.
It happens on one channel in particular, and I'm sorry if it appears that I'm being vague. It's just not. It's not who I am to mention names and or other creators or channels. I don't do it on my channel. I would never do it to your channel. I'm not trying to avoid the subject. I'll clearly talk about the issue, but I don't really subscribe to like the who. You know, it's not that I'm trying to be vague. I'm trying to be careful. It's what it is.
No. Yeah, I didn't mean it that way, because I don't know if it's some of the stuff that is currently happening or if it's something that's happened previous. I don't expect you to say anybody if you don't want to.
Yeah, no. Currently, I am in a situation with a us versus them, and I feel that I'm not even being asked for my side of anything, and it does feel like a dogpiling. And now I'm being judged for defending myself. And I thought that I was defending myself the best that I could without naming names and being, you know, the same as them. But perhaps there was a little bit of hypocrisy in the fact that I even defended myself in how I feel I should have stayed neutral. But I'll own it. I felt attacked. I felt the need to defend myself.
Well, and I'm just going to insert here, like, I don't feel like you should apologize. Like, and I've said this when I've been in my own issue with my own drama a while ago. everybody's experience is valid. So even if you maybe had reacted out of emotion, which personally, from what I have seen, I don't think you did, every human is entitled to defend themselves. And if people are going to dogpile you because you just put out your statement and you refuse to pick A or B, is ridiculous. Like that's when I think people need to take a step back and really look at the big picture of what's all been going on. But we do have a question saying, how do you communicate your wishes to your moderators without a text group? They don't know. The only way I've communicated with any of my mods when they have reached out to me to offer to be a mod, or when I have reached out to them and asked them, is through DMs, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. It's just a mutual conversation. It's not expected or with a contingency that you have to keep talking to me. It's just, hey, when I had my last round of mods ask, I just posed like, hey, I'm going to be talking about, I'll say names. I'm going to be talking about BX. And I know it's a hot topic on my channel that typically I get a lot of pushback for, and that people refuse to see my point of view. I mean, that's changed now, but when this was happening in like January or beginning of March, or beginning of February, I did my last live stream and I was like, just in case it gets haywire like it has historically before, I'd like to have a few people moderating, because at that point, I think I only had 2 mods and one was Britt, and I never expect Britt to be here. When she pops in, I get just as happy as you guys do because she's a busy lady. Right. So a few people reached out to me when I said that to them, and they just said, hey, like, I saw you offered, I'd be willing to. And I said, okay, this is the chat I'm going to have. I don't know if I'm going to keep you in a moderating position. If you're comfortable with moderating this chat, then I will mod you. That is how Tina in the chat became a mod. That is how, I think that's when I moderated Sue even. And I moderated somebody else during that time, I think. I can't even remember because I don't have that many, and clearly I don't have regular conversations with my moderators because it's voluntary. They can be here if they can, and if they can't, I don't expect them to. And it's kind of shot me in the foot because people have said, some people were saying nasty things in your chat, you need moderators. And I'm like, well, even if my moderators were here, then it would have been held against me that they didn't moderate the chat well enough. You're not going to please everybody.
It's impossible. It is.
It's impossible to please everybody. But I do think when it comes to moderators and moderating, communication needs to be there. And I think part of what will assist creators in having that communication is YouTube or whatever platform having like a set of basic guidelines. Like, make sure you're having these conversations, make sure this is what you're expecting. That way this ridiculous he said, she said, or moderators not moderators projecting maybe their own opinion into the chat and not even realizing it. And if the creator has a busy chat, they may not know some of the things that their moderators are doing or saying because their chat moves fast and they're expecting that their moderators are handling it like they're supposed to, you know?
And unfortunately, once you hide someone on a channel, you can no longer see those messages. Only the creator can. They would have to go back and try to get that. I don't know how long it saves, but if it's not done timely, I would imagine you do not get the whole picture of, I have to test that on my own channel. I've been fortunate so far not to have to do that, but I'll know for sure. But I think after a little while, they all disappear if you hide somebody. So you can't even go back and look at how a moderator handled something if you don't do it like right away, which is unfortunate. But to expand on that question about how do you get the information to your moderators, that can be tricky. I know, for example, I have a handful of moderators, not too many, but probably more than you do, Amanda, because I actually expected to have some trouble when I started my channel because I was out there so much, and I wanted to be protected. And it was difficult because not everybody is on the same platform. I have many of them on Twitter, many of them on Discord, and then some of them on Instagram. And the way I did it was a personal conversation the best I could. And the last one I modded was Sue, and she actually said, nope, you got to put it in writing for me. Like, come on right out. And then in the Discord, I added all the mods. We made a room. I made a general statement, so everybody was on the same page. But there still were a few people that aren't on the Discord that I had to go to directly, and took that same message and transferred it to them and in their medium, however that is. The important part being the communication, consistency, and leaving none of those moderators out. Nobody. Giving everybody the same voice, giving everybody the same information, and getting everybody on the same page. So, like, however you address it, make sure it's consistent and it's to everybody, and try to do it in the same time frame. Don't let it go too long that you leave somebody like on a different platform out, so that they don't feel like they were, not part of the conversation. Like, you want to get them all into it together. That's all I would advise. That's how I do it.
Yeah, and I can understand and respect that. There's another question. Do I incorporate mods from different time zones? Not intentionally, but I do have mods from different time zones. Sue is in a different time zone. Michelle, which I don't know if she's here because she is in a different time zone. I have creators in all, but not creators. I have moderators that have told me they're in different time zones. I haven't done it intentionally. It is what it is for me.
I have them from everywhere. I mean, from different countries, different time zones all over the United States, and several from different countries. So I understand that. When they're available, and when they're not, they're not. I don't hold anybody. I just put a general statement out when I'm doing something, and whoever can will. And it's always voluntary. I mean, they're volunteers. They're willingly giving us their time. I'm not going to put demands on their time at all.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I'm not trying to make it seem like creators who do put time, like who do expect their moderators to be there, that there's inherently a problem with that. That's not what I'm saying. I just want people to make sure that my point is getting across. Those creators can do that and still have a healthy boundary in place.
Exactly.
It's when the boundaries and the communication is not heard and respected, because I have seen creators ignore moderators saying stuff. And I mean, since I've already mentioned it, I think almost everybody who probably supports my channel knows about the BX drama I had, and how his mods have recently come out and told their stories and like their experiences when they were a mod of his. And that really, them coming out and kind of talking about their experience, shed even more light on a problem that I knew already existed just from what I have seen. But them really giving out, and I know not every creator is going to manage their moderators the way that he did, but it brings the conversation. How many creators are operating like that? And it's kind of like a public service announcement to have these kinds of conversations, so people protect themselves and know what to look out for, and know kind of like what is okay and what isn't okay.
I agree, and I think that you have been very open about it. I think I have tried to be very open about it with my streams and my posts, and now we're being accused of talking in code because you won't name names or do jokes. But that's a them problem. I'm starting to notice. It's not a me problem. I think my stream was very clear. I think my post was very clear. I think my IG on what a moderator, in my opinion, and it was, let's be clear, it's only my opinion. I'm not trying to set the guidelines for YouTube or for every creator out there. But if you look at them, they're very basic. They're about respect and communication, and the simple part of being a moderator and being a creator. And at the end, it just said that in this current climate, and I am on many channels, I have been a part of many failings in that. We are failing in the communication department and in the gelling of this between creators and moderators on many of the channels, on many of them that I visit, on many of them that I mod. So, I felt it necessary to say something.
And I don't think it should be held against you. I think a lot of the infighting that happens and that has been happening in this community for a few months, I think a lot of it is coming from people just being defensive and people making assumptions. I think somebody sees something, whether it's a moderator or the creator themselves, they see something and they just assume, rather than, it's like they're almost too afraid to just, excuse my language, ball up and have the conversation with that person. They just take it and assume it's about them, and then they fester with it, and then they get defensive, and then they overreact, or they react because their feelings are hurt because they took something that maybe wasn't even implied to them. This is a lot of why I have issues with like subtweeting and things like that. I'm very much one who, if I'm going to address a problem, I'm going to address it head on. I'm not one to bullshit you guys. Like, if I'm feeling a certain way about a certain creator that I feel needs to be talked about, even if I know I'm going to lose subscribers or I'm going to make people mad, I will have that conversation, because sometimes it takes that one person getting all the blowback for the conversations to be had. Look at what happened with BX. Right. A few of us, I wasn't even the one to start the conversation. Others started the conversation. The conversation slowly has continued, and now it's to a point where people are actually being able to acknowledge the poor behavior that he's been engaging in for a year, if not more. So, I'm okay with losing for the better good. I don't want to lose. I don't think any creator gets on this platform and is like, oh yeah, I'm ready to really tick off my subscribers today and have them all leave my channel. Like, your goal is to build a community, whether it's because you want to make a business out of it, you want to make side income out of it, no matter what your goal is on this platform, you're here because you want to build a community. And, I just get sick of people being like, oh, well, you're talking in code. Part of it is a respect thing. I am not going to insert myself in other people's drama unless I absolutely have to, because I feel people are being silenced. I'm not going to insert myself. Have I and will I in the future? Probably, because I'm human and I get sick of seeing the bullshit. But I've ignored it. I've let it happen, and I've not talked about it because at the end of the day, it's freaking childish, in my opinion. And I'm not going to engage with a childish argument where any side of any of the infighting refuses to think it's not about them.
Exactly.
That's my honest truth on why I'm not talking about the infighting in this community. Because it's pointless. I understand, and I can see, as somebody who's not really been involved with it, not really talked about it, the constant adding each other and like subtweeting each other and like making these shady streams. Like, if you really feel that strongly about it, just say who you're talking about, get it out there, deal with the backlash, and move on. Exactly. Be vindicated in the fact that you said what you wanted to say. That's how I've always felt. And I mean, when I started my issue with BX back in August, and I know it's probably annoying I'm talking about it, but it's like the only drama I've had. So it's the only thing I can really reference. I started that stream trying to be respectful and not mention names.
You were.
But people couldn't understand what I was saying because I was trying to be so shady about it. So I was like, you know what? F it. And yeah, I did get some blowback. I still get blowback from telling my experience. Which is why I've always said, and even before, I think this has to do more with my education than anything else, is I'm going to support anybody's story, anybody's experience, even if I don't agree with it. Just like when he came out with his experience against us, I said, I'm not invalidating him because it's not my place to invalidate him. However, it is my place to tell the truth on my behalf. And that's kind of what I think, and I almost wish, to be honest, that these people who are involved in these infights would do. I wish they would just call it for what it is, so they'll stop throwing the shade. So they'll just, once you say it and you get your opinion out there, you deal with the initial blowback if you're going to get any, and then you move forward, and then you're going to feel better. You're going to stop being childish and continuing to shade one another or subtweet one another or at people. It's going to stop people from being like just bystanders in this and watching this happen and them trying to guess, which is further causing more infighting to happen, because people who are just viewing this happen will see something and think, oh yeah, this happened, that they said this on that one live stream, so maybe they're actually talking about you. And then they go to that creator and they say, it's a never ending cycle of like, what's that childhood game whenever you telephone, it's a never ending telephone game,
right?
In my opinion.
I get that, and I think in my own personal situation, that happened to me like a month ago, that people were saying something that they thought I thought, or that I did, or that I was a part of. And I just put up a tweet that said, hey, if you have a question, come ask me. I'll have a conversation. But don't think you know how I feel about something. Just because I'm not out there saying names and bashing people, or even defending myself how you may feel appropriate, that doesn't mean you know. But I'll have the conversation. Come ask me. But I don't feel I should just, I'm not going to put out a video with people's names and addressing anything but an issue. And that's where I draw the line. I want to talk about an issue. I don't want to talk about people. I don't want to talk about personal failings. I want to talk about an issues. And that's what I was trying to do, is just talk about the issues that were occurring as a moderator. But they take it and they run with it, and there's streams all over the place about I'm this and I'm that. And I don't know where it's coming from, because I haven't said any of that. I don't believe I said any of that. But
well,
I'm willing.
I think a lot is, I think you've been respectful, and I have been out of the loop with a lot of the infighting because I've stepped away from it all. But I kind of know a little bit of what's been going on with your situation and another moderator and all of the channel and everything that's been going on. And I think a lot of it, to be honest, I think a lot of it is happening just because that particular channel has been under siege for a while, kind of a little bit at their own doing, some not about their own doing. I mean, we have to be able to take accountability and like self-awareness. So some of it, I think, was unintentionally done to themselves. And then because of all of that and pushback that they've gotten defensive. And I think some of their moderators that I'm assuming genuinely care for that creator feel that they need to defend them because they're not on certain social medias anymore. And although I can appreciate that someone's willing to defend a creator they care for that much, I really think that it's a boundary issue. Like personally, I think that's kind of crossing a boundary issue where if the creator isn't aware, they should be made aware. And if they are aware and allowing it to happen, I think they need to, personally, my advice would be to reconsider how things are being operated, because it's only going to continue to happen and only going to continue to cause drama and only going to continue to harm their channel in the long run. And I mean that with the most sincerity. That's just honestly how I've seen somebody who's kind of been on the sidelines lately.
And I tend to agree with you. In that instance, when you could make a difference, silence is not the best option. Keeping silent about the things that are going on in your own name is not good. It's almost like, whether you intended to or not, it's like putting a seal of approval on what's going on, whether you intended to or not. Sometimes, even when it's uncomfortable as a creator, it needs to be addressed. You are a creator for a reason, and you have all these subscribers that are looking up to you. And to me, there's a sense of responsibility there. And I'm speaking like as a creator myself, there is a sense of responsibility there to make sure you are setting the right message, that you are behind the message that you are sending, whether it's intentional or not. Does that make any sense? Like silence doesn't do it.
It makes sense. And, I don't necessarily want to judge any creator, whether it be the situation that you're in or any other situations I think of, like the Eugenia stuff. I think at the end of the day, it's the creator's decision, and whatever decision they end up making, they have to be dealing with the consequences, because both decisions come with a consequence. Being silent comes with a consequence, and stating your piece, at least it's going to come with a consequence as well, but at least, you're stating your piece. It's kind of,
there's less doubt.
both options are shit. You're backed into a corner. You're not going to please everybody. But how that option and decision is made is saying a lot to your audience. And I don't mean that in a negative or a positive way, but I primarily think of the Eugenia Cooney issues that was going on a year ago with her moderators being kind of exposed for being inappropriate. And Eugenia got a ton, and I mean a ton. I'm one who also criticized her back in the day for her lack of acknowledgement, because it was very serious allegations. When smaller issues, kind of like what you're going through now, happen, I could see it going either way. I honestly hope with what you're facing is able to be talked about in private. And if it has, I think at this point, you guys are, to be frank, I think at this point you guys are stuck to having to address it publicly, because it's kind of been brought out to the public, with the constant subtweeting and everything like that.
Right.
You guys are going to be forced to address how the conclusion comes publicly, but I hope the in-between is able to happen personally, and everybody can move on. And if you guys can't agree, then that's fine. Agree to disagree. We're all part of the same community at the end of the day. Right. You're still going to hear each other. You're still going to hear each other's names in passing. Like, let's just be adults, have the conversation, decide how you guys want to move forward, address it with your audiences, and move on. Because at the end of the day, the moderator that has kind of had this back and forth with you also has a platform. So they're also their own creator.
I get that, but since I'm unaware of the issue and I have reached out and I'm not getting communication, I don't know what else there is to be done, whether it be privately or publicly. As an adult, I tried. I reached out. I'm not talking about the moderator that has the issue. In that case, when you are publicly attacked, I don't always feel I owe a conversation, just, get on your channel and talk to somebody to hash stuff out. I'm not into creating content like that, and I'm not into giving them content like that. If they would like to make me their content, that's their business, but I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to willingly participate in that type of discussion. I only will have respectful discourse, and I haven't seen it, so I can't engage in it. And that's really all I can say about it.
Yeah, and I definitely understand and respect your decision on both sides. Like, however you guys decide to handle it and move forward is totally up to you guys. It's no one else's business at the end of the day. Sure. Honestly, at the end of the day, as somebody who's really not been aware and not been involved, I'm just sick of it kind of being brought and mentioned on my channel at times, because I don't know. And it's like, I have my own opinions of certain things that I've not talked about, because I don't want to be a part of, I don't want to accidentally mention my opinion about something else and then subsequently get drawn into this stuff when I don't even know what's really going on.
Exactly.
So
I wasn't aware that you were getting drawn into some of all of this on your channel with that's regrettable. I feel terrible for you that they would bring it to you like that.
I mean, it's nobody who's been involved. It's bystanders. Like, this is what I'm talking about, a ripple effect happening. People who are, in the community who support all of us, and they'll see one thing and they'll be like, oh, hey, what's your opinion about XYZ? And I'm like, well, sometimes I'm just not even reading that comment, because I don't know my opinion, because I don't know what's going on. So in that sense, it gets kind of frustrating, and it gets just frustrating because we're all adults and we all have been supportive of each other at one point in time. Like, what really happened for the support to stop being there is more of my question when it comes to the drama that's been going on.
I can understand that. Makes it difficult.
So Puddle Fizz asked a question, and they said they're interested to know opinions on whether people that moderated for one platform are able to moderate as free agents on other platforms. I think that's a creator's decision, and I don't have any other platforms. I only have YouTube. If I had any other platforms, it would depend on the moderators I have, if they'd be open to moderating on other platforms. I have seen a lot of, typically what I have seen historically is if you're a mod on one platform and you're active on another platform, you typically get your mod duties on the other platform as well. What about you, Claire? What's your experience with that?
My experience has been that I would, before I created a channel, I was of the opinion that moderators should not engage on any platform with other moderators and always be respectful and not, I mean, engage in a negative way, always be respectful and not to embarrass any creator in any way or do anything. Um, I'd be a hypocrite if I said I still believe that as a creator. I do not. I want my moderators on YouTube, my YouTube moderators, to always act with respect in chat, treat everybody fairly in other YouTube chats. But I have seen lately them get attacked on Twitter. I have seen them be held to task, and I feel they should have a right to defend themselves. So some may call me hypocrite for that, but when it goes to a different platform, they should be able to do what they want. And that's where I stand now with it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I can understand where you're coming from. And kind of like my takeaway is at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have our own emotions. We all have our own struggles. We all have our own lives going on. So we don't know, even as creators, like I don't know what kind of day Tina's having today. I don't know what kind of day Sue is having, or Britt. I don't know. I don't know. I hope they're having an amazing day, like I hope everybody is, but I don't know. They could be having a bad day, and somebody could potentially come at me on Twitter. And although I always ask everyone who participates in my channel to never engage with it, they might just get triggered and engage. I'm not going to ream them out for that. I may like privately talk to them depending on what was said and say, hey, like, what's going on? One, like, I want to make sure everybody's okay. What's going on? But two, like, if it's egregious, like, can you please take it down? Or can you please explain to me why you did that? And have a conversation. If it's something extremely appalling, I'm not opposed to unmoderating somebody because they have crossed a boundary elsewhere. Does that mean I'm following my moderators and watching what they're doing and what communities they're involved in? No, I don't have the time for that. And people who do that, I find that strange. I find it strange behavior when people are watching who's in whose chats and whose comments, and that's just weird. I don't know why people do that. It's creepy to me.
I am so with you on that. I couldn't agree more with everything that you just said, because like I don't want to know about all of the things that people are doing on a daily basis. It's like not my business. It's like you're a volunteer with me, and I appreciate it. And the majority of them are friends. I may see what they're doing on a daily basis, but like I don't want to have to hold anybody to task about their own opinions or what they're going to do. And I may have had an opinion prior about what that would be like as a creator that I've learned differently over the last month or so having a channel. And I agree with you. Like you don't want to have to. You got to take it on a case by case basis. If someone as a moderator does something that affects your channel, or perhaps does something sort of in your name and you need to address it, then you address it. But on as a general blanket of watching everything that they do and them having to hold some kind of line to me, that line's not there. I expect it on YouTube as a creator, period. Just respect and to be respectful. That's it. I mean, they are individuals, they are human, they get attacked just like everybody else. I get attacked. If they want to support me or you or anybody else, that's for them. It's not for me to say. I'm not all that, you know. It's up to them. And if I need to address it, I will on an individual basis, and that's it. So I hope that answers the question, Puddle.
Dinner's Ready asks, aren't moderators volunteers? Yes, for the most part, from what I've seen, every channel I've been a part of, the moderators are voluntary.
Right.
The ones on my channel and on on Claire's channel are voluntary.
All voluntary. Some new friends, some old friends.
All right. So we are getting to a pretty lengthy time frame. So does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to ask any questions, whether that be on me or on Claire or just like a general question? Now's going to be the time to ask. I'm probably going to start wrapping up in the next couple of minutes if we don't get any questions. I do want to thank you, Claire, for coming on. I know, I did reach out to you in private about coming on because I know you're in the midst of dealing with some stuff currently. I appreciate you being willing to still have this conversation and speak from your experience and kind of help educate maybe people who don't know what kind of positions different people have when they have moderators, because you are on so many different channels. You help so many different channels that I think you have a good, well-rounded way of not only speaking, but again, being fair and just honest in your delivery. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mint. That means a lot to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on it. I had started the conversation already on my own channel and with postings, and I'm going to continue it because I think it's important. I'm willing to discuss it with other moderators and even other creators. I think a panel might be helpful. Who knows, someday. Get everybody together and just hammer out some kind of guidelines, like you said, for YouTube, but maybe even just in our small community, maybe just amongst all of us, some agreement would be great. But we'll see. I never shy away from the conversation. Everybody will tell that. So I'm very pleased that you had me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you being here. If anybody here isn't subscribed to Claire, feel free to check out her channel or there's several creators who mod my channel, who are in my chats, and always feel free to, when appropriate, drop your links and stuff. I don't mind self-promotion, but don't be excessive about it, please. But everybody deserves to have a platform, in my opinion, and everybody can always go and check out the content. If it's something you jive with or you like their personality, subscribe to it. If you don't, I'm not trying to gatekeep anything. So do as you see fit with that. But I appreciate everybody who's been a part of the conversation today. I appreciate you all for your support with everything that has been going on lately. It's been overwhelming for me, and I appreciate how much people have supported me. It's one of those cheesy things that you see creators go through from time to time, where they seem to give a lot of appreciation and support out, and it seems kind of like unrealistic. But now that I'm kind of experiencing some of that very strong outpour support and kind messages, I feel a little bit different because it really does change how things are. And having conversations like this one and several more that I have had and will continue to have, it always means a lot when you guys are just willing to come here and be a part of the conversation and just listen. If you can't agree that you're just listening. So I appreciate you guys so much. And I don't see any questions coming in, so I will wrap it up with, if anybody ever has any questions or want to reach out to me, you are welcome to you're welcome to DM me or contact me via email. All of that information is in my description box. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. Thank you all so much. Due to kind of what's been going on, I don't know if I'll have a video out tomorrow, but I will have one out on Wednesday. And our next live stream should be on Monday for another open discussion. So keep an eye out on my community tab, because that's where I post stuff and where I put the poll for open discussion. If you have any suggestions or opinions about a topic or something you want to bring to light, feel free to drop it in last week's or reach out to me privately, whatever suits your fancy. But until then, I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.